or you are wondering how things I present can apply to your own ideas and so on, feel free to interrupt me. Uh, it's not a very let me share. Okay. I didn't think of it as a very uh let's say deep tutorials level presentation, but more of a I want to share with you what I use, basically my tool set, and if you find anything interesting there, to encourage you find out more, and yeah, try them yourself. From all those tools, maybe some of them you already know. So yeah, I would really be happy to discuss and share ideas on how you use them. Um, but yeah, first of all, I will give you a bit of background about me because, yeah, I'm a software developer, but I have some tendency with the art sector. So I'm a software developer at ColorfulCoding. That's basically an AR, VR, 3D, and now we also have to do AI Studio. Uh, and also we created an app called ArtLink. Um, So I'll go very fast on how I got from a very technical background to be introduced a bit with the art sector. Um, I basically knew no one that was an artist before COVID. But I went to a hackathon and then we came with an idea that since everybody is closed in their own homes and also the galleries were closed, we could make an application that used augmented reality to bring art galleries to people's homes. So we tried to create this platform that was more of a social media at that time for artists, um, where they can experiment with AR and VR. But obviously, I didn't know enough about the art industry, and at first, many suppositions were wrong. However, the app survived, and people use it now more of a experimental playground and less of a social media. So it's more of a platform that allows them to technically play with cutting edge technologies without actually learning how to code and everything that we don't want creative people to necessarily learn, but we want them to use their cool ideas and put them into practice. So what you could do, and this is a small intro to what augmented reality is you could put objects on the floor that were floating. So you could put on every illustration, video, and so on float in front of you wherever you are. So people, for instance, artists use them for creating portfolio of images and videos. So they placed their illustrations into a forest near a river, in an old factory that no one used anymore, and so on. So that's the most basic augmented reality. You just take your phone, you scan a bit of the space, and then you can place actual objects in front of you. And I can show you, for instance, the festival that we organized in Am that was called the Digital Art Factory. Uh, let me go like this. Um, we launched very fast, so it was very limited at that point. All you could do is upload photos or images, photos or videos, and they were this kind of floating painting. But it worked, and it was simple enough, and people started to understand what augmented reality is. And all those artists then had other ideas. So they upload around 200 illustrations and then they start having their own ideas like, can we make it go out of the painting? Can you touch the painting? Can you go inside of it? So they just needed a small taste of it and then the ideas came from them. And a lot of time after this, our job was to be artist support. So artists came up with ideas and we bashed our heads against the wall trying to implement whatever ideas they had. Some of them went pretty cool, some of them were impossible, but it was a very educational process for us as well. We went with the mentality of we need to teach artists technology, but actually we learn much more, I think, because creative people have a bit of a different mindset than technical people who only are focused on problem solving, I guess. So that was a digital art factory. The other type of augmented reality was tracker based. So you can actually scan a paper, a mural on a building, some boxes and so on, and you can anchor objects on over them. Uh, so that was the other way where we actually made stuff that looked like an exhibition. Uh, that's an that's an example that used 3D printers in Estonia with artists from Nordic countries, and each marker you saw there had a different experience. All these were made after a hackathon, so the artists could come up with ideas and prototype fast. And again, they did what they had with what they did, what their work was until then. But they experimented more, they find out more about themselves, I guess. And then we also kept in touch and we tried to push to the max whatever ideas they come with. So this is image target. You scan something and it's fixed there. You don't place it wherever you are. It's very cool because you also don't have access to um the objects unless you visited the place. This went much better after COVID was over because this had actually the role to attract people at your location. So it's not anymore about you getting into the home of people, but taking them outside their home and making them visit your gallery, your festival, or whatever you're organizing. And the last one is called the Geospatial API. This is was possible since Google launched something called Geospatial API, and I think only about two other companies offer this technology. Basically, you want to scan whatever building you want and see experiences happening around it. Sounds very simple, but technically it took a lot of time for them to solve it, and luckily we can just use it. This is an experience we create. A journey, I guess, we created in Bucharest. In 7 points in Bucharest, we had 2D animations of mythological creatures, and you could just take our app and scan buildings around, and the mythological creatures would appear around. So you have, I'm not even going to try to translate them. There's all kinds of dragons, all kinds of werewolves, uh, Saint Sunday, I guess, which is a granny that just takes care of the church and so on. So yeah, people could go to these 7 places and scan them around. And this is a no car area in street in Bucharest. And that's how it looks. Also, we didn't create the animations, but students on workshop students that are learning how to create 2D animations frame by frame came up with the whole concept. We only worried about the technology behind it. So it's always a dialogue of we tell them what is possible and what not, and they do the best with what we can do. So that's, I guess, the most we got from augmented reality. So you can place stuff into your space. You can recognize images, 3D objects, and so on. And you can do monumental stuff by recognizing actual buildings. I still think augmented reality is a cool space to experiment with. To be completely honest, everybody talks about artificial intelligence now, so it's a bit overshaded by this. But I think this is here to stay. Uh, but in a more, I guess, in a less hyped way. But every technology has a hype moment, and then we get realistic and we find out what we can actually do with that. So what we did in all this time, we identified some use cases.
Sorry,
Um,
Dragos. I will interrupt you for a second. Like, go ahead, like talk about your passion as well. Don't let only AI take the scene.
yeah, and I think what's cool with AI is that it is for everybody, but we all have different backgrounds, so we use it differently. But that's why I think it was relevant, this short background stuff, just so you get an idea on what I try to use it, and maybe you get also some ideas. Um, yeah, what we found out AR could be useful for was interactivity in culture, in fine arts, in tourism. So everywhere where you want to convince someone, give someone an emotion, make them memorize some kind of more difficult information, do some storytelling basically to reach people and make them come to you. We also found it's useful for education because interactivity, you learn by doing much better than learning by reading or listening to someone. Um, and then there was social impact and awareness. We worked with quite a few of NGOs. We had campaigns when the Ukraine war started. We have campaigns. Uh, we have NGOs that published artworks for Go to Vote for the European Parliament and so on and so on, without being a political thing, just go to vote. So social awareness. Alternative smaller stuff is merchandise, like selling small stuff with AR, AR fashion, experimental artists that's always push things to the limit, and yeah, mostly yeah, telling a story, activism. However, AR and VR are big words, but to be honest, all the technology they have in the back of it is already made by the game developers. So most of the things we do in 3D and 2D is made in a game engine. We use Unity, but there are more of them. And most of the 3D graphics are made in Blender 3D, which is an open source 3D modeling software. And I think this is relevant because we always look for last minute cool softwares that do things very easily, hopefully online, or just write something and it appears. But the really cool stuff still happens the old way, where you write code or you do 3D modeling by extruding a cube and reaching from a cube to a complex 3D model and so on. So that's something I would reiterate around the presentation is the best softwares, I think, are the ones where you actually have full power and they seem a bit harder to learn at first. But once you learn how to use them, you have a whole universe of opportunities. You're not limited to the software. Because in the end, all the AR, VR, XR, immersive media, interactive installations, whatever, are a lot of big words, but most of them are just 3D modeling, computer graphics, computer vision, and very low level core things that are generic for all of them. So for instance, how I see now AR VR is just that's a different way of experience a 3D scene that is made exactly like how the games are made, how every 3D scene is made, but we use a different screen, and that's the Meta Quest headset, or that's the phone, or we use it on the screen, or we use the Apple Vision Pro, but that's just a different screen. In the back is the same knowledge that's basically ancient. It's 20, 30 years old. And if you know how to do that, where do you render that is another story. So a few things we did more business wise, but just so you get an idea where people care about this. Um, we use a lot of AR graphics, 3D graphics, AR, VR. These are some fan holograms. These are AI generated images. We use them for commercial installations. So people go to conferences um, to promote themselves, and we create interactive stuff just so it attracts people and then they can sell whatever they want. So it's like a commercial thing. We create conversational agents, so all these kind of 3D characters you can speak with, and you know already you can talk with ChatGPT. So we do something similar, but give them a bit of character, so you know who you are talking with. Um, So yeah, it's a different flavor, I guess, of a AI agent, conversational agent. So that's something people want a lot, apparently. We are involved in new media installations, and those are also for our fun. So we create all kinds of stuff we want people interact with and have fun, and we also learn how people work. For instance, this is called Modesty Mirror, which was a big mirror where people see themselves, but then AI controls their faces, and we make them, I don't know, roll their eyes, pull out their tongue, and so on. And it's very funny because many serious people come by, and then everybody sees them on the street like they're some very childish person. And it's a thing that makes a lot of people laugh and have fun, get less serious. And in the end, they also uh, ask themselves some questions like, AI has the power to actually take control over you and do whatever it wants with you. Yeah, another places we also do stuff in theater where you have video design, video mapping, interactive stuff. Like this was a theater play where we tracked our actors' faces in real time, and these huge masks with Excel graphics appeared. Those were playing. So the persons in the theater play were managers and people um doing art management, and it was about how you have to adapt your artwork on whatever there is funding for, because you have to adapt to where the money comes from. And anyway, those were the managers of managers of managers, and they had these huge masks that could cry, that had the Excel stuff over them, that had a halo at some point, and so on. So this was real time, and it was a challenge for them as well because they had to play with this on their waist. But yeah, it was pretty fun. And lastly, it's VR storytelling, which is the most challenging for us because we have to create characters, 3D environments, and so on. But people are fully immersed there, and they can feel the most. We have the most control over what they feel, what they see, and so on. So those are the most you can go with 3D. And that's the most I will also talk about 3D, because after this I will step a bit back and go more about um, using other more procedural ways of creating visuals and interactivity. Because now I will go the other way on that's how I understood a bit the art sector being a tech guy, but then we will go the other way on why is tech relevant for art and where is tech right now. Any questions until now? I think I went pretty fast through a lot of things. But after this, I will also go through some actual demos. So if there's ever any question, just ask in the chat. I'll have the chat here. Cool. So what's with the computers? Since forever we tried to make the computers have a brain, have a vision, have a way of talking with us. We are basically building a very smart humanoid, I guess, bit by bit. Some people work only on the brain part, some people on the visual part, some people try to give it a cool voice, some people want to make it speak or hear. So we are all very focused on something small, but if you think about it, we are building this, we are just replicating what is the most complicated machinery we know about, which is the human. So there were a few eras. I will go from the visual part. The first one, I would call it the classical age, which is the computer vision. And computer vision always sounds very complicated. Even in computer science faculty, it's a pretty complicated class. But actually, we all use computer vision already. So if you know Photoshop, After Effects, Paint, you all you do is you have all the computer vision functions we know about in a very simple way to use them. So everything you do there, it's actually a bit of computer vision in a way. What I'm trying to say, it's not that scary. Many of the computer vision algorithms are actually quite rudimentary if someone explains them to you clear enough. It's a very old thing, so people do it since 1966, where camera were attached to a computer. Then they started doing image processing, which is changing the color, changing the saturation, changing the hue of an image. And I guess you all did that at least once in any image editing uh, software. Um, then we learned more complicated stuff like 3D reconstruction, scanning 3D stuff. We started talking about autonomous vehicles, facial recognition, and then we got into AI, which is a whole different story. So let's go into, okay, I won't go into Photoshop. You can learn this very easily. I guess it's a basic tool. When it comes to computer vision and interactivity, many people use Touch Designer. Um, I'm not sure. Does anyone did anyone use the Touch Designer before? Okay, until I will start as designer, and then meanwhile I can actually answer the questions in the chat. So for Touch Designer, I need to close my camera because Touch Designer we could use it. So when you have a moment where you can learn how to build 3D conversational agents. Um, so conversational agent, and I think that's pretty interesting to break through. Actually, I will talk about AI later in the presentation. So I think the best way is to actually discuss on how we can build a conversational agent while we talk about what tools are there for AI. So I will answer for this, but a bit later. Cool. So video out. Okay, so there are many softwares for people doing video mapping, interactive things, and so on. But Touch Designer, although it looks a bit scary, is the most powerful one. And I really recommend everybody give it a go. Um, Let me see what I put here. There's a link. I think it's just where you can download it. Yeah. So Touch Designer is this place where you can build with nodes interactive stuff. Some people use their hands to move graphics. Some people use it at parties to synchronize their graphics to music. It's used in museums. It's used, I guess it's used pretty much everywhere. That's what I'm talking. Even though I work mostly in Unity, I really appreciate this software and I really admire people who do crazy stuff into it. Yeah, it feels like it allows you to do everything. That's why it's a bit overwhelming at first. But I think it's once you get the mindset behind it, it's pretty cool. So when you install it, it's pretty boring. That's how it looks. Um, doesn't have the greatest UI, I guess. But let me open a project. Let's start with the basics. Oh, it closed the program, so it will open again and then I'll share screen it. So basically what Touch Designer is just a node-based programming stuff. So you don't have to program anything, but just use nodes. Cool. Let me move these. So it's everything is a flow from the start to the end, and then you can do stuff with those nodes. So if I press tab here, you see you have a lot of pre-existing nodes. What these nodes are, they're basically just Python code. So each of this is a small Python script. You can write your own, but you can do 90% of the things you want to do with those and with other nodes that you find on the internet. There's a huge community of people doing stuff. Basically, each node has for instance, every node is an operator. So this is a top, which is a texture operator. So this is all about textures, images. And you have channel operators. You have surface operators that are about 3D objects. You have pops that are actually more about particles and stuff, data stuff, and so on. So let's do something simple. I already made it so I don't stumble too much. What I created here is a simple node that's called, let's see here, is just a video device in. And I gave my camera here. I guess you can see it. Good. And then what I did was I just pulled this here, press tab. Uh, you can see this as a showcase, just a demo. So you see if it's something that interests you, and if it does, you can find a lot of information. So it's just a commercial. You can see it. You don't have to follow me step by step. Um, let's make it here. Okay. So just with the edge operator, you see I have here a lot of how do you call it? A lot of properties. And here we have an edge detection, and that's all I have right now. And let's imagine we do this on a video projector. So we can video project, video map this image starting from my webcam. And this works real time. This was possible with Python before, but this is much easier to use and much easier to understand. And most importantly, much easier to debug. So if you have a problem, it's much easier to go into each node rather than, yeah, rather than reading code. So we can do a lot of things here. We can tweak it around and so on. And then we can make it look better. So what I did here is there's another node that's called the cache, and it just delays the whole video with a few frames. And then what I do is I make a difference between the past and the present. And if you do a difference between the past and the present, uh, you can see where the movement is happening. You can see my camera is pretty noisy because you have white everywhere. Let's make it less. Let's tweak it a bit. Okay, so if I don't really move, it's mostly black, but if I move, it starts to get very white. So this is a simple motion detection. And the more white you have in an image, the more motion there is. And if someone doesn't move, it turns black. The only problem is my camera because it's very noisy. So again, it's very simple mathematics, but with nodes, it actually makes sense. With code, what we did before in code, you had to be a programmer, you have to do a lot of debugging. Now you see everything, and people that are less of coders and more of artists can bother more about looking at it rather than finding bugs in code. And then this difference of motion, I blurred it a bit just so we don't have so much noise. And I created something that's called a threshold, which means whatever is close to white, make it pure white. Whatever is close to black, make it disappear. So this is my motion. And that's a very simple effect. And theoretically, you can just, let me hide this one. You can just put this on whatever screen you want and it works real time. So it's that simple to make an interactive video mapping, I guess. Let's do something more complex just because I want to show you how far it can go. I took this and I put it in this node here that's called a trace. You can imagine trace of, it's just vectorizing data. So it's doing what Illustrate does with the information from photos. And now it looks like this, which is a bit cooler, but it's a 3D space and it's actually in 3D. And now we actually have a lot of points. And one cool thing we can do is we can join these points randomly. So you see now it looks like something complex and cool, but people will don't really know what it is. And then here I just rendered it. And yeah, and I created this. So we are vectorizing everything and joining points. That's all we do. But the cool part is then I can just put it over my image, and let me hide the old one. And the more my image is pretty noisy, but the more you move, the more of these lines appear, while if you stay still, they don't really are around. So you can have this cool effect. There's more effects, there are better effects. I just try to show you a very simple ones. Why I said the program is a bit complicated is because you might ask yourself, how do I know about all these nodes? And the truth is, it's just a way of thinking, and you can learn only by doing tutorials and seeing what other people do and just copy pasting what they do. And at some point, you know so many nodes that they just click and you can do things naturally. But it's not really a simple way of doing things like that. Yeah, so most things you will see in museums and so on that have real-time movement and recognize your hands and so on might be done in Touch Designer. I can show you another project. One second, I want to check the presentation to see if I'm not skipping something. Yeah, I can show you another project. I think it's this one. No, not save. Now it closed and it will open again. Okay, so first thing I showed you is computer vision, classical computer vision. Basically, I showed you that we can understand and modify images in a very simple way. Now I will show you a more generative or procedural example. This one tracks your mouse and creates this cool pattern behind it. Now it's the mouse, but it can follow your hand, it can follow someone, it can you can take an image and follow the more bright spots of it. So this is just I would call it a cool effect that's very procedural. And what we do here is we just take the mouse, we do some mathematics on it. So I think what we do here, we multiply it with a number, we give it some lag, we make it smoother with a slope, whatever. We do whatever we think would make it look cooler. And then we create a small circle here. That's where the mouse is, giving the position we created here. And then what we do is we should have a noise somewhere. Okay. What's cool here is you can see the progress and you can actually understand what each point does. Like I know the fit does this, but the feedback, which is basically um leaving a trail on however the image changes, is the one that's making the most of it. Then we add some displays, so objects move like this. Then there's some noise. Then we have the actual noise that just puts color to our object. And then I think we remap it with this color ramp. Yeah, so that's all we do. What I'm trying to say with this demo is you can actually, with this very primitive nodes, you can make very beautiful looking objects. Uh, you just need to know how to compose them. And again, you can find lots of tutorials about it. No one knows how to do all this from day one. It's just a matter of getting into the mindset, I guess, and seeing what other people do. And yeah, well, I think what's cool about this kind of low level things is you don't have a rule book compared to more, I guess, simpler softwares. Cool. Then you can also do 3D graphics. So I will show you this one that's called banana. So let me share again. Okay, so you can do also 3D stuff here. I show it to you because it's more recent update. So starting, I think a year or two ago, you can actually do 3D stuff. You have this one that's called Project Dissolver. You have a 3D object of a banana. What they did is actually they broke the banana in 2 bits, and then they made just the second half be very noisy. Then they made the noise part fade out, so it has a bit of more of an effect. And then they just rotate it and render it here. So you can have something like this, and you can actually make this interactive. You can actually use your mouse to move it like we did in the last project. You can use your hands. You can have someone, yeah, you can have someone control it with their hands on video, rotate it however they want. So what's cool about it is very modular, and you can combine all these things to do the effects you want.
Can I ask you something, Dragos?
Yes.
Can you at some point work how do you call it? What do artists have on stage? When they synchronize in an act or something. I mean, I'm missing the word. So if you
Uh,
have, let's say, four, three people in a video moving, or you map them doing something, and then you can extract yes, performance. If you can map a performance this way, like you map a banana, basically.
yes, you have body tracking. I'm actually going to show it pretty soon. You have body tracking, face tracking, hands tracking. So
Nice.
you can just track the people's movements and do something, whatever you feel like. Yeah.
No, go with the banana. Sorry, I was just like not expecting to do that, but that's on me. I'm sorry. Now think about.
No, no, no. It's a very good question because the human body is actually the main. I think it's the most offering one because you can do a lot of. People love it when they start moving. They get more relaxed. Uh, and they don't just have to watch something that's beautiful, but they are part of it.
Yes, but I can also understand now that I think about it. When you learn with innate objects usually, and then you go to moving objects, at least for the sake of learning. So,
Yeah, but it's not so different, I guess. Yeah, I can
mhm.
show the body one if I already talked about it. This was just another example with more 3D objects, just to show you it can get pretty complex with simple objects. This has a few, I think 1,000 or so spheres and lines between them. And even though the objects are simple, the movements are a bit complex. And I think Touch Designer is the best place to do something like that, other than 3D artist specific software that's a bit more specific. And uh, yeah, I guess if you want to learn actual 3D, it's a whole job. But here you can learn a more generalistic approach. Cool, let's look into the body tracking. Let's close this one. For the body tracking, we mostly use something that's called Media Pipe. I will also put it here in chat in case anyone is curious. It's a set of softwares given by Google, and it's machine learning basically, and they allow you to do all this stuff without actually knowing how to do machine learning, which is great. And it's open source, and yeah. So you can see this is me on the video, and I have my face. I have image recognition, so you know this is a person, that's a plant. You can see my hands with all the joints of the hand. You can see my face, my eyes. You can see my body. So you can see it even recognizes my legs and so on. And after this is just data, and you can use this data. For instance, many people use it like when the tip of the fingers touch, that's a click. So you can actually click and move and do stuff. The only problem is all this data is in 2D space, not in 3D space. So for the software, this is touching, but also let me try like this. Maybe this is touching as well, although in reality it's not. All you have to do is just a media pipe node, and you have here face tracking, and that's mostly it. You extract face tracking here, and that's a set of 100 points that move into space. And after that, you do whatever you want with it. If you want hand tracking, that's another set of other points. And again, once you have the data here, it's up to you what you do with it. It's just numbers that are moving. That's again me. So it's not actually such a big question of how you understand machine learning at this point. It's more about how do you transform a set of points that are moving into space to do what you want them to do. And the biggest problem is you have noise, like everything. So you need to smooth them out. You need to find some rules. You need to actually work with this stream of data in a smart way. The easiest way would be to just, I don't know, for instance, for my hand, when it reaches this part of the screen to do something, when it reaches this part of the screen to do something else. So there's an easy way to do stuff, there's a harder way to do stuff. But yeah, everything is here. All this is a complicated demo, but actually you only care about the node you care about. So this is just so much because it's very complete. There's also a face mesh, so you can see me like this. It's not perfect, but it's pretty cool. Like you can see when someone opens their mouth and do an effect, or I don't know, when someone blinks or whatever. Does it make sense? I mean, it's not so much of a technical stuff, I guess. If you just know what library to use for this one, you're good to go. Then you just have to work with the numbers.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Um, so is there anything in your experience as a developer? Because you basically take images and pictures and whatever, and then you work around them. Is there, I presume that there are some factors on the outside world um, when you record or everything, when you prepare. Is there anything outside that can help you, like a green screen or
Yes.
different type of clothing, or I don't know, a makeup that glows or something?
Yes, actually, I can give you an example of a project we work on, and it's actually here on the presentation as well. Let me, yeah, so mostly, for instance, we created this with MediaPipe, we created this installation where you basically, it's a, how do you call it? It's a street passing awareness initiative. I think it was presented on the police day or something like this. So we created it on a big screen, and people would just come by, and there's their bodies. You could run on in place, and it's a green light, red light. So you go on green light, and if it's red light and you're still running, a car violently kills you, and that's the game. Uh, this game had a lot of challenges because I thought, okay, we can recognize body. This could be simple, uh, but it's not that easy to get it right for everyone. To make it work only for your own testing, it's easy, but then you start hitting all the problems of human variety. So what we did basically was following the knees and the ankles of the persons, and they look like this. So we know basically where is their natural way of being. And if they went suddenly very up, we consider you made the step. So the more steps you made, the faster you go. So this was supposed to be easy, but there were some problems. For instance, there is sometimes lag, noise, elements might shortly disappear. So there are times where they don't see a foot or a hand, and that hand simply disappears and it has no position. So you have to take that into account. You have to smooth everything out, otherwise it's just a noise. Um, we also tracked hands and elbows because not everybody runs the same. So apparently some people run just by moving their hands and they don't realize that aren't moving their knees. There were ladies that wore long skirts, so we wouldn't recognize any feet because they were hidden. Um, we had sometimes bad lighting, so since it's camera based, you
Hmm.
must have a good camera, but you also need a good sun and so on. Sometimes people put it with the face in the sun, so they destroy the image. So that's also an issue. Sometimes children, of course, children want to play it, but they have
Hmm.
much smaller feet and hands, so you have to take that into account. So there's all kinds of small problems that aren't even technical problems. They're more of user experience problems, I would say.
Yeah, because not every performance can have, let's say, I'm thinking like putting in a performance perspective. Not everyone can have like a black suit, so you can put green dots on and have the best uh,
Exactly.
experience, let's say. Yeah.
You want everybody to have fun, and it's for instance, it's easier to make it work for adults, but obviously children are going to want to play it much more than adults.
Hmm.
So it's not even you cannot really say it's only for adults. So we made it for adults, so it should work for them. It should be also inclusive, so it's a lot of tweaking, I guess. Testing is pretty important. Also, is the fact that we don't work with 2D points, but with a continuous signal. So you don't care where the point is right now. You care how it moves the graph. Let's say everything is in motion. Yeah, so that's with MediaPipe, and it's a very good starting point of doing interactive stuff. It's a pretty old algorithm, but everybody still uses it. Other than using sensors on camera, I think MediaPipe is the most popular one right now.
Yeah,
And
I
as you
was
saw,
thinking,
pretty
sorry,
easy.
I
Yeah,
interrupted
sorry.
you again.
No worries. Go ahead.
I was thinking now that would be great to have at some point, it would have been great to think about it, but a workshop with what you're teaching, and for example sensors, which are Dennis's specialty, they blend really really nice.
Yeah, I think that would be cool because sensors solve a lot of problems. We
Hmm.
love cameras because they're everywhere, but they have limitations, of course.
Yes, and computer vision and sensors work really really great together.
Yep. Cool. So what I was saying is about Touch Designer is you can do everything here. I would say it's the Touch Designer is the command center. If you are trying to think of the computer as a human analogy, I think in our tool set, Touch Designer is the brain, because it can manage data from everywhere and can transform it into whatever we want. Cool. So that was still in the classical era, the computer vision part I was talking about. Let's move to machine learning. I already entered into that. The one place I recommend you to start is MediaPipe. Um, so you have a lot of stuff here. You don't have just human stuff and gesture recognition and so on. You also have object detection, image classification, um, a lot of other stuff, and it also works on Android, web, Python, iOS. So it works on mobile, it works on computers, it works on internet, on web. It can work on a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino, so it's pretty universal. Cool. And I showed this already. And this was an example. That's a very easy interactive thing to do. You just move around and walk. Other easy stuff is you move your hand and you move graphics. You smile and you activate some animation. I don't know, you have to touch your fingers or click in the air. There's so many things you can do. And if you have a huge screen and the small interactivity, you can already do so many things. Other things that are machine learning free tools in the, let's call them pre-ChatGPT era, is YOLO. It's an algorithm that detects stuff in the images, puts a bounding box in everything that the camera sees, so you can detect things. Segmenting, which means coloring objects on an image based on them being different objects. Generating depth. Image captioning is pretty cool because it says what it sees in a picture. Nowadays, LLMs can do this much better, but this one is pretty light. So you can allow for instance, for the AI character we created some small image captioning module, and it would actually see things through the camera. So it could say, hey, you, the guy drinking coffee, look at me and talk with me. And people were pretty surprised that they were called out and so on. Cool. Let's go to I guess, the hot subject, the large models era, the generative era we are in right now. I was actually talking with Diana before, and the first time I did this presentation was a few months ago, and I had to update it because it's not very many things from there were old already.
And
So I
it was
guess,
October 2025. I mean,
yeah, so I guess whatever I'm gonna present now is gonna get old in a month. So let's see.
you
So
should,
everything,
sorry again, you should prepare a slide or two actually with how to prepare for fast moving
I don't have another.
content.
I'm overwhelmed myself, so I
Yeah,
don't have good advice.
coping mechanisms.
So everything started with something that's called transformers. There was actually a paper that's called "Attention is All You Need." If I understood well, I think they actually got rejected the first time they put the paper through a conference, but it proved that method was actually working very well for huge amounts of data. It's a very weak method with just big amounts of data, but with very huge amounts of data, it's working amazing. That's why ChatGPT has to run maybe on, I don't know, 100 GPUs, because you need a lot and a lot of data. But that's the moment everything started with this thing called transformers. And a few years after, and a lot of millions of dollars later, we got ChatGPT and generative images and so on. And I'm not going to go very deep into them because I guess everybody uses them nowadays anyway. So you might know as much as I do, and or even more. I'm not going to go much into prompting because I think everybody, it's a vibe. Basically, we don't know there are some best practices, but they change every month or so. Yeah, I can share the presentation. And I also left here links and so on. Let me. Okay, I closed the Teams because I got notifications there. Cool. A very simple way of using generative AI is with stream diffusion. I put this first because it's, well, what you see is what you get, I guess. So you can just use this kind of algorithm in Touch Designer. Stream diffusion just takes a stream of videos, you put a prompt, and it generates another stream of images that are affected by that prompt. So that's stream diffusion. That's a very clear way of how image generation works. Let's see if I can zoom in. This is, for instance, a mirror for Halloween. So yeah, people could do stuff like this. It's not necessarily very consistent, but it's very fun to play with it. Uh, After a while, you realize it's using stream diffusion and maybe it's less fun. But for a first time, it's a pretty cool experience. That's another one where people had to draw and it went here on a holographic display. And it's very cloudy or more detailed, and it's much cooler than having the actual drawing. And I think I have one more example. Yeah, that's another way of drawing. I think the prompt is about dragons or something. Oh, okay. So you also give it the prompt. So that's a very simple way of using generative AI to just make things look more interesting. The problem with it is after a while it has that AI feel and it feels a bit generic. So there's a huge trap of looking not original and generic. But I think what's important is we know the technology exists and how to use it. Of course, there's the LLMs. If you don't know, a large language model is basically what ChatGPT is, what Claude is, what Gemini is. Why I'm showing this is because, in case you didn't know, host you can just host LLMs on your own computer, and there are a lot of them, and there are some that are very small and some that are very big. So it depends on your computer. Let's see, we got a question. What were you using as a screen in that previous example? Oh, here. I think they were using, those aren't mine, but I'm pretty sure they were using holographic fans. So there are this kind of hologram fans. It's a fan that rotates very fast and it produces a 2D image with transparency. And from far away, it looks like 3D, but it's actually just a 2D video here. And you can put more of them, so you can make a bigger image. They're pretty easy to use, yeah, because actually they just put a video on it, and the black is transparency. No, there are volumetric displays, but this one is it does the trick and it's much cheaper, I guess. So I see they're more popular nowadays. But of course, I would love a volumetric display. As far as LLMs, yeah, I was using this one because you can just run every model on your computer and you can actually connect through HTTP to try the flow, the words and everything to Touch Designer, and you can use them in your experience. So as I said, Touch Designer is the brain, so everything connects to it. I guess LLMs are the mouth of AI because they speak a lot. I can show you something that I was trying last night. So this is LM Studio. You have here how you can connect it with everything without writing any code. What's cool, you have here all the models. And I don't know, you just want llama, you just look for it, and it tells you what you can install and you cannot, and so on. It tells you if something's too large. For instance, one of the latest models, it's Quen, which is a Chinese model. Uh, they run fully on your own computer. And what I like about them is this, to make an idea, ChatGPT has around 300 billion parameters. This has zero point 0.8. So it's actually so small it can run on your own mobile phone. You can have your own ChatGPT that runs on I think it might work on a Raspberry Pi, I'm not sure. But for sure they will be able to run soon enough, and they're super smart. Like, how do I install Third Designer? And they work very fast, and it's because they're very light. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed because a few months ago, whatever was this small was very bad. But this one is actually working very well. And it's just working on my computer, which is cool because now you don't depend on cloud. And maybe you want to have an experience that happens somewhere, I don't know, outdoors, or you're working with sensitive data and so on. So I don't know, maybe it's useful for you. I just want to create some awareness that free alternatives exist. They also have the vision, so you can give it whatever image you want. Let me try, give it an image. Yeah, let's try this one and say, what do you see? So it's really nice. You can ask anything about any picture. And it's not just labeling what's happening in the picture, but answering to your question. Uh, for instance, I can say just say yes if you see helmet in the picture. And it says yes. And then I can take this yes or no and use it in Tile Designer. So whenever someone wears a helmet, I don't know, I write on a huge screen, I see a helmet, or take off your helmet, or whatever you have in mind. You can even, yeah, or you can work with structured data. So just tell it to tell you the emotion it has whenever it talks, or tell you how loud the sound should be, and so on. So you can actually control parameters. Let's say I have a color parameter in my app. Whenever you answer like, and we'll just say color, color here, and text, uh, actual answer. And now it will always answer me structured. So I can take this color and change it in my uh, what I'm rendering or whatever. A very easy way to do it is when you do an interactive character, you can ask it to have emotions. So it can be sad, angry, and it can have different animations based on this word. So yeah, have in mind the LLMs can work like this. Now let me go back to the presentation. Cool. So we had the mouth and the brain of it. We now have the eyes of it. I guess you already know you can generate images with AI. I'm curious, did you generate images? I guess the answer is yes, but what did you use? Did you use ChatGPT or Midjourney or
You can also use your voices, open your mics if for whoever has mics and jump in the conversation.
yeah, everyone can interrupt me anytime.
I have installed and used Stable Diffusion on my own PC. It was quite an experience, but I think it was version 2 or something, and the results weren't that great.
Yeah, now it was a very cool. I think now it's a bit old, but yeah, it gives you so much control to have it on your computer because it has so many parameters that online things don't have it. So I think yeah, I like Stable Diffusion as well because it teaches you a lot. Yeah, Nano Banana I think is the best right now, especially online. ChatGPT is good. It was the best at some point, but I guess, yeah, Nano Banana is leading right now. Cool. So I guess you already know nowadays you go less and less into Photoshop and so on, because it's it's when in the last 2 or 3 years it went so far. Like before it was very hard to control, but now it's getting better and better. I even use it for small stuff. I shouldn't be using it, like just changing a color. And it's working fast, and it's very, before you had to write a prompt like generate this image and then give Salvador Dali, realistic, high resolution, just throw words on it so it has enough context. Now you just naturally talk with it and say, make it realistic and do this and that. I want to show you a pretty cool tool. It's called Invoke AI. I'm not very happy it got acquired by Adobe, but it was an open source software until a few months ago. It's one way you can do local AI stuff without without going too technical about it. So you don't have to use Python, you don't have to use anything. You just install it and it's like a Photoshop. I can also show it to you where it is. It's here on GitHub or on their website, and you can just install it. You have here how to install it. Looks complex, but it's just an exe file. So you just download something and double click. And what's cool about it is they try to integrate everything AI can do locally, but with a Photoshop mindset, let's say. So I will show you how we can create something. And what I like about it is you have a lot of control. And if you actually know how to draw, you can actually intervene over the images and give it very specific tasks without using just words. And now it's loading, of course. Yeah, whenever you load anything with AI, it has to load huge models on your GPU. But oh, okay, I got it. Cool. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. So as you can see, okay, we'll create something else because I already created the flower. Let me delete stuff actually. Okay, as you can see, this is just like any photo editor. I can actually use my brush. Wait, I need a layer, just like I would do in Photoshop. I can draw here whatever I want. I can erase, I can change the working area, and so on. So this, I think you already know. I also have here models. Oh, sorry, down here. And you have stable diffusion. I think I'm going to use for this demo stable diffusion since I have it installed. But you also have these more modern things here. For instance, these are very light and fast and good. Stable diffusion still has the most controllers though. So let's generate something. Yeah, let's create a, wait, I cannot create a, I will create a flower. I wanted to create a nano banana, but I realized these models, they have a big problem. They're not, the biggest industries that use them are the not safe for work ones. So you cannot give it anything because it's very biased on unsafe things. So I'm not gonna risk it here. I'm just gonna do a flower with plastic petals. We actually had it has a big bias on mainstream internet stuff because it's trained on it. So I created something with an artist that is Korean, and it was Stable Diffusion 1, I think, or one of the first ones. And he realized that sooner or later, it was a real-time thing transforming. Sooner or later, it was transforming everyone into a beautiful blonde lady. Even he was a old Korean guy. So that's the problem with AI. It's very biased on what it's trained on, and it brings everything to what it thinks is the average it was trained on. So it has a big bias, and we always have to fight with the bias of AI to create different stuff or better, more realistic stuff.
Can I say
Okay.
something? Sorry.
Yeah.
Like today Claude just called me human. He told me, it told me, human, this is the last prompt. And I was like, why do you say that? He was like, because you told me and I introduced, I copy pasted it. It's a normal mistake for AI. And I asked, did you just gaslight me? And he was like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he can be very condescending. Cool, so I gave it flower with plastic petals. I have here, I want 2 images so I can choose from. I want 21 steps because I want I want it to look good, but I don't want to give it too much because we're gonna stay here a while. And now we have those. Okay. Usually they let me choose which one I want. Oh no, a panel disappeared. Okay, those are boards. Let's delete this. Cool. I have those. What did I do? Ah, okay, canvas. Sorry. So we'll work in this canvas. So let me delete this drawing I have. No, actually, let's create a layer and let's try to draw how the flower will look. And let's try now. This is the denoising, which says how much to, for instance, 1 completely makes this into noise and makes a new image. 0 simply gives me this image. I will give it a pretty big noise because I don't want it to be that clear that is this. And try again. And you guys see I have 2 images here. After this, I can choose one of those. You have a lot of models and stuff here, but you don't really care about it right now. So I will just hide what we don't care about. Yeah, so this one saw the white and didn't make an image. Yeah, you see there's too much noise and it just transformed the whiteness I drew into noise. You can actually see here a bit. I have the background, but if you draw with more attention, maybe it or more colors, you can have you can make it follow what you do, but there are better ways to make it follow what you want. So I don't really like those. Let me make.
Can you tell us what specs you are running on the PC so we know if we can expect this to work in a like timely fashion?
Yeah, so my GPU is pretty good. It's a 4080 NVIDIA, but it works also on my laptop, which is a 3060. And I think it works also on 20. You need an NVIDIA GPU basically, or a Mac with a
Probably
GPU.
at least 6 GB of memory, because I know
Yeah,
that I use a 3060, laptop 3060, and I've run into video memory
yeah, but I'm
uh,
gonna show you
bottlenecks.
after. This one, Zimage Turbo, and this one are actually very light. They're lighter than Stable Diffusion. So those should work on most computers with a GPU. If there's no GPU, I don't think it's gonna work. But it's getting more and more accessible, and I'm very happy about this because before, yeah, you really had to invest into graphic cards. Okay, so we made here. Let's choose this one. And now we can start doing things. And I have here, you see, I don't have only raster layers. We also have control layers. So we can upload an image. Can't I just let's reuse this one. Let's hide this one. And control says, for instance, I can do edge detection and say, whatever you create, please do it inside these edges. So right now, let's give it a big mark like this. Let me try to make it recognize more. Oh, come on. Okay. Let's try it like this and see if it respects this. Control layers are basically very good for controlling structure of objects. However, this was edge detection, so it will only respect the edges, but inside of the edges, they can put whatever they want. There's also a depth control, so you can control only the depth of the image, and so on. So you see these two have the exact same structure, but they're totally different photos. So I think that's a very powerful tool. And also you can actually come in with here and modify it or draw yourself something and so on. So there are control layers, and this already gives you so much more power than most online editors. Um, there's something that's called in paint mask, where you say, okay, I like everything, but I don't really like this center. So I can paint it here and say, and close up flower with plastic petals and the blue center. Let's give it a big denoising. And now everything outside will stay the same, but the center will be remade. You see, this is blue. So you're not a prompter anymore, but you're starting to think like a Photoshop user again, which I think gives you so much more power. Okay, let's do it like maybe this one. Also, you have to make more because it's still doing what it wants many times. So we started with this, now we have this. What we can do? We have controlled regional guidance. This means for this part, I can say I want, I don't know, this there. And then I can add another regional guidance and say this one, I want it to be a petal and so on. So I can actually tell things around. So that's also a very cool one. Then you have reference image. So I can give it an image and say respect the style. I try this cartoon and say, let's see what it does with no other interference. So I don't talk about the style. I don't talk about, this is something that done through something that's called an IP adapter. So what I'm trying to say is there's so many small tools that can actually give you a pipeline and not just prompt and hope you have a good result. So that's a cool tool. I think, I hope Adobe won't ruin it, but it's a very cool thing to play inside of. What's happening? It stopped. Oh, it's loading all this into the memory right now. So cool. Any questions about Invoke? Because I don't think I will go much deeper into it. Oh, it's happening. Oh no, I have too much weight on it. It's one. So it just made the image, I think. Yeah, there's so much weight. The reference image became the image. But there's no problem. We will try again with smaller weight. Yeah, so you see now it kept some parts of the original, but it looks like the reference image. So that's also a very nice way. Again, I had too much weight, so now it's an elephant. But you can give it another flower, for instance, and it will be more. You have to work your way through it, but important is the tools are here. Let me go back to the presentation. Cool. So you have all these image generation tools. They're a bit weird at first to understand, but there's a new mindset, and I think, of course, if you can draw stuff, just draw it. But for fast prototyping, Invoke AI is pretty cool. Of course, we have the Nano Banana. I'm not going into it, I think, but you know already, it's super powerful. It can listen to you so well, and I think it's free to use mostly, or at least in a limited amount. So if you choose something online, yeah, just go to Gemini.
How did Nano Banana change since October till now? Because I do remember you were uh, training on it. You were showing the participants some parts
Yeah.
of Nano Banana.
So Nano Banana has now Nano Banana 2 that appeared a few weeks ago. It can render much higher resolution stuff. It actually listens to your feedback. It
Yeah, because
listens.
that was the problem in October.
Yeah, and you can put, I saw people put 10 actors in it and it would keep the faces of all of them in the same image.
Oh,
So
wow.
we use it for AI photo booths, for instance. So we just take people, there's a photo booth, people take photos, and for brand activations, for instance, they are, I don't know, dressed in a brand clothing, or people selling groom costumes show you how you would look into the costumes if you buy from
Yeah.
them and so on.
I have a
So
picture from Nicoletta. She has a mirror and she has like a few avatars, but it's keeping the face really nicely. But if you have the hands in the picture, it's still not good.
I think Nano Banana has it pretty good. Let's see.
Yeah, that was actually last year as well.
Yeah, now it's good.
But the face, the figure, it kept it really, really nicely on.
Yeah, the face should be very good. Let's see if I
Mhm.
have myself somewhere.
It even kept some wrinkles, but it made them look nicer anyway.
Okay, let's see. Make me um put me. There's also one big issue with Nano Banana is since it's owned by Google, it has a lot of railguards. So it might fail generating stuff for you if you have logos in it, if you have someone famous, if you have someone from a Disney movie.
Mhm.
If it's even, they're very careful about not safe for work stuff. For instance, many times I said, I want to, like for this image, I would say, put my whole body into it, and it would refuse to make it because it thought it it read about body and it thinks it's unsafe. So sometimes it just refuses to do stuff. That's a bit annoying, especially when you connected with some programmatic interactive stuff, because people will think your application is failing, but actually they have a logo on the shirt, for instance, and they make your application crash. And yeah, that's pretty annoying. Cool. So that's Nano Banana. Easy to use. If you really want to go into generative AIs and so on, there's this program. I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm just gonna show you it exists. It's called Comfy UI. It's similar to Touch Designer, meaning it has nodes and the edges, and you connect them. Each node is related to generative AI. That's the difference with Touch Designer. You can even connect Comfy UI with Touch Designer. So we did, for instance, real-time AI generation based on an image that was modified from Touch Designer and then pushed back into Touch Designer to put on a screen. Let me open it. I wouldn't jump into this one from the first moment, and you also, from 50% or of what it does, you need the GPU. But I can show you, for instance, I can show you a cool demo of, as I said, there are image generators that are much lighter now, like FluxCline or Z-Image. And we can see what we can do with it. Again, you can just download it from here. No, not from here. You can download it and install it. So that's again pretty simple. It's a slow loader. Okay, it looks like this. For instance, let's see. For instance, you have here a lot of templates. Just so I show you what you can do. You can create videos, like you can, but I don't think you really need a powerful GPU to make a local video. Usually for 30 seconds, it takes like 20 minutes, and it might be bad and you might need to generate another, but you can do it with Comfy. You have very specifically trained stuff, like this one is generating just 360 turnarounds. You have light migration, you have whatever. So most of them are for video. You can generate 3D models, you can generate depth, you can generate sounds. Whatever is AI, you can just put into Comfy, connect the nodes correctly, and you can generate things. For instance, that's how it looks for a video. It looks a bit overwhelming, but you just have to follow what they give you in the official documentation. I copy pasted stuff, so you see it's a Chinese model, so it just have Chinese stuff here. I don't know. You have this where I gave a video of me and this nano banana generated photo, and it makes the photo move like you moved here. So you have this is pretty cool, but it takes a lot to generate. You can actually say, this one can actually make you say stuff, so it also adds voice on it, so that's also nice. Okay, I want to show you a demo of Flux, because I said some Stable Diffusion is a bit heavy. Let's look on this one. So whenever you run something first time, it's a bit slow because it's uploading to database, to GPU. This one is similar to Nano Banana. So I just said make the room on fire. Let's see. Now it loads into the memory. Let's hope my memory is empty enough, because invoke is not very VRAM friendly. Okay. And now it generated this. So it's me, but my room is on fire. And if we press again, you see it's pretty fast. And however I move, this happens. It's about under a second, I think. So you can actually put this and say run instant, and it works in real time. How can I? Okay. Now it's a bit slower because I'm also, let me close the cam here. I actually managed to put it on like 3 FPS, and it's very cool because you can just write, make him bold. And it should work. First time it's thinking about it, but after that it works pretty fast. I guess the prompt takes some processing. Let's see if it works. Okay, so I think the cool part about it is it's moving pretty fast. And what I think this shows us is in a year or so, we can actually have real time. And imagine you can just appear in a video and change stuff in the room, and things will happen. I don't know, give him a huge mustache, funny mustache. And I think that's a bit scary because people will go to interviews for other people and so on. But the idea of almost real time doing whatever you want with an image is pretty crazy to me. It's I think when I close everything on my computer, it's about 3 FPS, so it's almost there. I need to watch yourself. You can actually, it's not just video editing, so it has real hair somehow. That's the cool part of
Ah,
it.
look, yeah, your hand goes under it.
Yeah, because it's AI, it's not just video editing. It's
Yeah.
can change the person, you can do whatever. And the huge beard. Yeah, so I think things are getting lighter and lighter, and that would be a very easy way to make a cool interactive stuff. You just make this on a wall, and people would look at themselves for hours. I think when I made it work, I played with it. Oh, why I'm smiling so weird. I made it. I think I stayed for an hour or so into it, playing by myself. So, yeah, that's that's a cool thing we can have now. So that's comfy. And one other thing you can do is connect stuff in between. So you have image, you generate image, then you can put the image to generate the 3D model, or maybe you can put the image to generate the video, and everything is streamlined. So everything can go from one another, and you can make your own workflows. So yeah, how do I stop this? Here.
You cannot
Oh,
stop that
that's
smile.
so yeah. I don't know what it sees in me, but cool. That was the demo. There's a lot of other stuff. Let me close Comfy so my computer can breathe. Cool. So there's a lot of other stuff. I'm not going into it, but you have speech to text. So you can easily nowadays transform whatever I talk to into actual text in real time. Video generation. These are open source stuff. Uh, One and Sidens, they're mostly Chinese models, unfortunately, or luckily, I don't know. 3D object generation, I can show you this one, for instance. There's a lot of models that generate 3D models from images. And you can also, by using 11 Labs, you create voices, sounds, clone voices, and so on. Let's pick something more interesting than a mug. Let's take this dragon, and we'll use this one, and maybe this one. Okay, so nowadays, just with an image, you can generate this 3D model, which I think is pretty crazy. It's not as good as image generation, but we're getting there pretty fast, I think. Why we're not there yet, I can show you for this image, for instance, the results. They're kind of creepy, but still, it's a technology that's almost there, and you don't know when it's gonna be super extra amazing.
It's in the smile. There's something creepy with
Yeah,
the smile. He didn't really get it.
yeah, this one is a bit better.
Yeah.
But you can generate 3D models pretty easily nowadays. I can show you also for video where we got. I think that's pretty fun. Seed Dance, yeah, it's a new model that everybody uses right now. This is all AI generated. It also have voices and all. It's getting harder and harder to see if something is AI, which is a bit worrying. I've seen on TikTok people are actually generating anime episodes before they are made by Japanese studios,
Yeah.
and
Or
it
or how they should have been.
yeah, and it's crazy how they look studio level. Of course, they're still imperfect, luckily. Like if you look a bit here, you can start to see that's AI. But
Also a little too perfect, I think. It's
yeah,
a thing.
Yeah, I'm only worried that I fall more often into not. I fall for a fool more and more often. Like at first, I could see every time that's AI. Now there are videos that I say, "Oh, is that real?" And then I look into comments and someone says it's AI. So
Yeah.
it's only gonna get better. That's the weird part. Cool. So you have the whole tool set, I guess. I also made here a table if you find it useful of what I think I use. I think that's the main stuff I use. Yeah, and I guess it's all about using the right tool sets. Why I think how I want to end this presentation is uh, that there are that's as you saw, I showed you mostly softwares that are hard to learn, not just you go there, write the prompt, and everything happens. Because I really think there are no shortcuts still, and these are just tools we should use. And if we understand them well, we can create cool stuff. Otherwise, we create generic AI aesthetic stuff. So yeah, if it's it looks hard at first, like Touch Designer, but it's useful to go into it because then you know how they work, and whatever comes after that, you'll know how to use it. Yeah, because in the end, the heart is at you, so you decide what you're making. Yes, I'll share the presentation with everything, every link. Questions if you have.
Also about sharing the presentation. So if you don't receive an email with the diplomas by the end of the courses, which is 10th of February, 10th of March, taking in account that the workshop on the 7th changed, then send us an email, reply to the address that you have on the emails that we sent you, because we can't always figure out who you are based on the names that you have on Zoom. So we are trying to make a matchmaking, a match between the registration name and what you have today at the workshop. But if you don't get it, please send an email and we will send it specifically for you. And also, maybe help Dragoș a bit after all this talk. Thank you, Dragoș, for amazing presentation again. I wanted a few times to say, hey, take a break a bit and maybe push you into saying what brought you to the project, to the workshop today, and maybe share a few ideas and put them into context. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, because they weren't so talkative and not stopping you so much. So I wouldn't want to end it just like that. So throw in some ideas to know something about you as well. On voice, of course, if you are okay with it. Come on, who's the brave one? Tell us a bit about your ideas and what you're working on or what you want to work on. Because Dragoș will be here also as a mentor during the collaborative project. So you can also ask him a few things, of course. But it would be nice to know who you are as well, if you plan on joining. No brave people. Come on. Oh well, we won't push you then.
I think
Dragoș,
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I guess if you have any question, you can always ask me. But yeah, I think you need some time to ingest the information because softwares always look scary at first, as far as I know. Like for instance, when I saw Touch Designer, I refused to use it for a few years because it looks a bit old as UI, and I didn't understand what it does. It's just awareness and then there's not a software everyone should use. Everybody has their own tool set, I guess.
And also it's important, you don't need to always use them, but know about them. And like, for example, when you look for people like Dragoș to help you put something into another shape, at least you know what you can ask for, or have a little knowledge about it. So that
Yeah, and that's also
usually that helps a lot.
yeah. And that's with AI as well. It's not, I know it's still controversial and it's not the idea of using AI for everything. For me, at least, it's just about I want to know what's the latest thing, but uh, choosing for a project if you use it or not is a whole different story. Like awareness is one thing. If it fits a project is a total different story. But yeah, since there's so much AI slop and content on the internet, I feel the need to see the latest things just so I can protect myself and just know, okay, this is AI, this is Dance 2.0, I know it. Otherwise, I would share a lot of random links with things that never happened.
Yes, yes. How did the ArtLink platform change in the past year, like projects in the past 2 years or something? Because you said that it's a big change and people are using it more now in than in the pandemic. So do you see improvements in
So regarding
projects?
the pandemic, we made so we made the bad assumption that people want another social media. That's not what they want, and that artists are willing to learn 3D creation, so they join the XR and so on. What actually was useful on the app is it was bringing people, engaging people at events, and it's actually more of an app that's used during festivals, during galleries, exhibitions at galleries or museums, and less of a thing that people do fully digital. So I guess what we learned is that AR is very cool in social places and not so much in no one wakes up in the morning and says, let me see more art. We don't have time for that. We look too much on TikTok and about the news.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I was saying also about the 3D conversational agent I forgot to talk about. Because I see it in the chat as well. Uh, yeah, I think Pepper's Ghost is amazing if you have the space, because it's such a simple trick and it works so fine. Uh, what we do, so your biggest issue is to understand how to create. Okay, so there are two parts. There's the 3D model that you can, the best way to do it is have a 3D artist model it, but if you don't have the budget, you can find character creators, you can download existing 3D models and so on. There's also, it's like Mixamo that has a lot of animations already made for 3D objects. So that's the presentational part. And we use a few animations. We have talking animation, we have thinking animation, we have listening animation, maybe 4 animations on top. And then you can have variations. We use a lip sync library, so whatever the character says, it moves its lips automatically, so we don't have to do it. And then there's the AI part. The easiest way is you just use the API from OpenAI because they have the 3 things you need. They have speech to text, so whenever someone talks, you transform it into text. You have the LLM, so that's the easy part. You make the AI answer using the LLM. And then you have the text to speech. You have the answers from the LLM and you transform it into an audio. And that's a bit problematic because it's very good in English and a few other languages. But in Romanian, for instance, only 11 Labs has good Romanian, which is pretty expensive. But yeah, that's the three things: speech to text, LLM, text to speech. And then we give that to the lip sync and the character talks it. Now how you show it, it's a different story. But I think for every project we do, the most expensive part is 3D modeling, because they want a full character that's rigged and so on. The AI is actually the simple part.
On Monday, there was the 3D modeling workshop. Did you guys participate? Anyone here? I mean, can you see how it links, in any way? Chat or
Yeah.
voice, as you wish.
As far as I know, 3D is it's still safe from AI, like 50%. So it's it's a heavy skill to still have, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It will take a little longer. Huh?
Yeah, we can improve it, but to totally replace it, it's not there. Not even, I mean, everybody asks us, can we just not pay the 3D artist and generate this? And I'm explaining them, no, that's not how it works. Not,
Wow. So that's still a way to do it. You still go to the 3D.
yeah, it's many people have the impression that now with AI, everything is simple, but that's actually, it's the same complexity. We just do things faster.
Okay, I lost my screen. I don't know where it is. Okay, found it. Please go on the feedback as long if we're still here a little bit. So please leave us a feedback as well. We would be much obliged if we know how you think about us, and also what else, what other thoughts you want to leave us. Maybe ask us to do again the workshops or whatever you think it's valuable to know about you. So thank you, Dragoș, so much. If there aren't any other questions, we won't troll you for longer
Thank you.
by trying to make the time. So please don't forget to leave the emails if we don't send you the presentations. Please go and click on the feedback that we left you, that I left you on the chat. We will send it on email as well. And amazing workshop again, Dragoș. Being in the first workshop, it was amazing enough, but now seeing how things improved and changed, it's actually pretty impressive to see, not only from social media posts or looking from someone else's perspective, but see the work behind it. And as always, it was valuable and a pleasure to have you in our workshops.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Everyone else, you can look for Dragoș on LinkedIn. I'm sure he would be happy to connect. We keep in touch on email. You all have more than enough emails from us. We're sorry. We have to send you reminders that there's another workshop going on. So just bear with us a little bit longer. Thank you so much and see you tomorrow, or you will meet with my colleagues from the other partner countries, from Bosnia and from Serbia. Thank you so much and talk to you tomorrow.
Bye. Have
Thank
a
you,
nice
Dragoș.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a
Bye-bye.
nice evening. Goodbye.
You too.
Bye.
Don't forget to click on the feedback while you leave.